Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahushai, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahushai, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahushai, Kolayim La Adonai Yahweh, Bashem Shamalak Yahushai, Bashem Kakadash, double honor to apostles and the elders of the millstone, peace I teach and the hopeful elect, Shalom. And the title of this video would be, when does a boy become a man? Right? So, in the etymology, there's certain truth to it, and, any information you want to search up, you gotta just find it. You might find where the truth is mostly accurate there. Let's come to certain things, but you want to find, you may not find things that's completely accurate. So it's like you gotta pretty much find the meat and spit out the bones. You might even find small parts of the truth and scattered in certain information that you find. Or it may just be an estimate of the truth. But you get the point. So now it says generally young and male. It says as male child before puberty in the mid 14th century. So pretty much a boy would be somebody that's didn't hit puberty yet. That would be a child. And the age that he becomes biologically a man is when he could have children and he could produce offspring. And that's usually at the age of 12. Some people may hit puberty earlier than others. Some people may hit puberty later than others, So, in puberty is where they will have, certain feelings of, let's say, they want to, have, certain sexual urges, or they start having thoughts about it. You will hear like the term wet dreams. These are phrases that happen where men pretty much like masturbate and stuff like that in the night or so, and they have a dream about it. And the thing about Esau is that he will claim that you're a man when you're fucking 21 or you're 18. You know what I mean? And Esau's a fucking devil because he even makes, the age of consent as the age of, 18 or 17 in some states, or maybe 16 in other states or whatever. But honestly, if the age of consent was how it was in the Bible, where it was at the age of, let's say, the age where most people will hit puberty or whatever. But I don't want to go too deep into that. But that's pretty much supposed to be the age of consent, because that's how it was in the ancient world. And that's why, you will see back then you had an abundance of children, and Esau wants to control the population. So, of course, he's against that idea. And that's why he wants to make the age of consent so high. And, this guy is anti-life, this devil Esau. So a child will also be considered as could be an unborn or newly born person. In a wider sense, young person before the onset of puberty, developed in late Old English. So, it really shows you that when you're a child, you didn't hit puberty yet, And Esau, in a spiritual sense, he's a child because of the fucking laws that he keeps in the society are completely immoral and unethical against the Most High's laws and commandments. You know, they're pretty much like puberty is like when a child's body begins to develop and change as they become an adult. And in this case, I'm only focusing on the male first, and the boys will develop like a deeper voice, facial hair, even hair in private part areas. You know, they'll say the average of boys is 12, and they said it's normal for puberty to begin, at ages of 8 to 14. You know, so that's what on what you call it, this website, dot nhs.uk. That's what it says. That those are like the average, like from that range of those ages, 8 to 14 is where puberty will happen, will start taking place. For some people, it may be at an average age, which is usually like 11 to 12. Some may be early, some may be late. But when you have the ability where you start seeing, like, as a man, maybe like you start using the bathroom, whether it's a number one or number two, and then you start seeing, like, your ability to produce sperm, you're becoming a man, biologically, and you're able to produce kids. The reason why society's hard for you to have children, so it's like you have to have a good financial background, and you have to pretty much be having like a stable, steady source of income to produce, enough money to be able to like have certain children, you know, in this world nowadays. It's insane. In the kingdom, we not even have to worry about a damn thing like that, you know. But it's like in this time and age, yeah, if you want to have children, you got to worry about all those things. And then another thing too, aside from having children, you also have to worry about your children becoming, you know, the way you didn't set them up to be, because of how society is and the organizations that society be pushing, like the agendas that they be pushing within these organizations, like especially LGBTQ, the shit they be pushing in schools. And it's like your child has to go through a whole process of BS that the government wants them to go through so that they could change their mind and feel like what you've been teaching them all along was wrong. And you know yeah, that's pretty much what Esau wants, to spread that type of confusion. And then next thing you know, they may have to learn certain things the hard way, and they realize that you're right all along about what you was teaching them, especially if it has something to do with this truth, or even if it's something that's against the agenda of, LGBTQ and these other fucked up agendas that Esau be pushing against people. He does it to the people in general, but he mainly heavily focuses on our people, especially in the Southern Kingdom, which is the so-called black people, because there's three so-called black tribes. You got Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. So, yeah, that's really messed up. Sometimes the Bible might not be specific with this, but there's a scripture out here, in Second Chronicles chapter 24, verse 1. It says, Joash was 7 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 40 years in Jerusalem. His mother's name was also Zebiah of Beersheba. And Joash did that which was right in the sight of the Lord all days of Jehoiada the priest. And Jehoiada took for him 2 wives, and he begat sons and daughters. Do you see? This man was set. He had 2 women. He was a whole king at the age of 7, you know. And back then, like, in the ancient world, like, for us following the law, statutes, and commandments, like, for the most part, we was mostly mature. We had a better sense of state of mind, even though, like, we still went off on certain levels because of this mortal flesh that we was under, since we was in a mortal body. For the most part, you know, I don't know, like, I don't think that he had a kid at the age of 7, as from what it seems like in the scriptures, but that's showing you right there that puberty may hit people at early ages, man. And that's crazy for you to have a kid at the age of 7. So I think there was another person in the Bible that had a kid at the age of I don't know. Like, you have some people that had kids at the age of 11 or 12 or whatever. And, these were times that we mostly could do these things, during the time of our rulership. Like, you won't have to really worry about having children, at such a early age. You wouldn't really care because, that was our kingdom at the time during the dark ages, that was our kingdom. And now it's like, yeah, you pretty much gotta really worry about having children these times because, God forbid your child end up going the way where you didn't raise him up, going the opposite way, especially if you raise them up in a righteous way, you know. The scriptures will say to raise up a child in a way he should not depart from. And that's talking about a righteous sense, mostly in this truth, you know. And another thing about, you know, when you consider the prophet Jeremiah, he was a prophet at the age of 8 years old, you know. And usually the Most High, like in this time, like I've seen brothers that come in this truth in their late teens, and that's how I came in this truth, Like I started like, doing like watching videos at the age of 18 and stuff. Started teaching like around at the age of probably like 19 or so, or 20, somewhere around there. But yeah, so it took me some time to understand like the information and stuff, you know, because it was something that like I was watching the videos, but I wasn't really like, I kind of had to, it took me some time because it's like, this is something that, may seem boring to the average person out there, that don't have this understanding. But when the Most High builds your knowledge, wisdom, understanding this truth, you're going to feel very enthusiastic, Because at first, starting off, you may feel a little lackadaisical with it. But then over time, he's going to boost your interest in it if he's really dealing with you, you know. Most High don't deal with everybody the same way, even in this truth, Even if you're considered as elect, he may not deal with you faster than he deal with other brothers, But compared to other people out there that are Israelites, and compared to like other people out there that's the elect, he may deal with you at certain times, Maybe give you a quick judgment to show you that he's chastising you in his mercy and not in his wrath. That's how it is. And that's pretty much it that I want to get on that, because a lot of people might think that a real man is the age where he could they feel like a man is the age where he is 18 or 19 or 21. It's just Esau being a fucking devil and nothing but a damn deceiver. Because a man is a man when he's able to have kids, when he has that ability to have kids and shit like that. Yeah, and even when you look at it, they put our men out there to fight in the for the nation of Israel at the age of 12. That a man could fight for the nation of Israel during that time of our rulership. But well, it's like it might be what you call it, the age that they were fighting in that the war. I don't know. The Book of Numbers will say like 20. But pretty much like the age where that makes up a real man is pretty much, like I said, average 12, because they're able to produce children. So yeah. And pretty much it's like, even as a man, over time your body is growing to certain changes, like as older you get, like the peak of a male, um the primal age I'll say will be, mm, in his early 20s, you know his early to late 20s, because that's the age where you'll be dominant in whatever sport you play in, especially if you trained from a young age. Could be from middle school. Some people start kindergarten, um, playing certain sports, doing certain activities, and then they just go from there, and they get better and better over time. They keep practicing and playing, and then at the age of 20, that's when they, you know, start to see a higher peak in their performance in the sport. And then, you might have it to where in their late 30s or mid 30s, they might, stop being that dominant, in the sport. Like um, they might go down, uh, what you call it, in their performance, you know, meaning that they weren't as good as they were in this age, at this age, you know, because when you consider the amount of, I guess, injuries that you have over time, and then also, like, obviously we're in these mortal bodies, so aging is like you know, pretty much puts a downgrade on our body over time. So usually at the time of late 30s and even early 40s, those are the times that some people retire from playing sports. And obviously when you got Jake in the league, Jake's staying there for a while, on average, especially if they're that good and playing the sport to begin with. But with that, hope I made that's edifying. Let's go. Glory, praise, and honor to Adonai. Yahweh, Bashem, Shamalak, Yahweh, Bashem, Kakadash, Tabana, to the apostle, the Elder Millstone, peace, citation, hopefully. Yahweh, Bashem, Shai, Babakasha, Shalak, Rayam, Arawam, Yam, Wagawa, Yam, Abba, Shalom.